Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. We are dedicated to you to bring you what miracles can come out of your life. Today, my guest, again, this is my man, Bret Michael Phillips. And if you want to understand what miracles are about, he's your guy. How you doing today, Brent? Let me say that first.
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. This is awesome.
And, you know, I was just thinking of something. I was watching some of your stuff online. And I'm going to say this to you. The next time you have an event, send me an invitation because I'm coming.
All right.
Or, you know, relative time. Maybe not the next one, but soon.
Right. I got two coming up this week. We'll be in touch.
Where are you going to be?
I will be online on Wednesday night doing a live webinar. And I will be here live in Los Angeles on Thursday night doing a live group.
We're going to have to get together because we have to do something together.
That'll be awesome.
We have to, because I am ready to just put it together. So if you guys have been listening to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast, you know that Brent has been on my show before because he has the course in miracles for you. So what has been manifesting in your life recently?
You know what? What's amazing is this year, I have had an incredible abundance of wonderful concerts and music experiences.
Really?
Yep. You know, like just one example, I went last Saturday to go see Evanescence, who I've been, you know, I loved Evanescence since their first album. They were co-headlining with Lindsey Stirling, who I'd never heard of. And I was so blown away by her show. I went and bought front row tickets to go see him again on Tuesday.
But, you know, but music is vibrational, and vibrations mean that's what we all are. If, you know, most people don't understand that simple fact that we are all these bundles of energy, and if we can harness and be in tune with those bundles of energy, for those people of you who are into the law of attraction or the 7 universal laws, or just resonating with who you are, miracles can happen, because miracles are based, and I'm going to take this from you. Miracles are things that fall outside of what science can prove.
That's very much how I would describe it. A miracle is just some phenomena that we can't fully explain given our current level of science and technology.
And since you've been in, because let me backtrack a little bit. So for those of you who have not listened to the prior podcast, Brent was a MIT graduate, correct?
A couple of times. And
he was really based in the hardcore sciences, but something transpired. So let's delve into that a little bit. How did you transpire for those who have not listened to the earlier show?
Sure. Well, you know, first I would admit that I never thought I'd be doing anything like this. To be teaching energy healing, metaphysics, law of attraction, spirituality, not even on my radar, because I was, as you said, a hardcore scientist and engineer. I believed in numbers and math and things that could be proved analytically. Long story short, I came out of MIT because I figured I was at the time one of the world's leading internet experts. And when the internet boom hit in the 90s, I figured, well, heck, I'll just leave MIT, move to California, start an internet company, work really hard for a couple of years, and then retire to some tropical island to spend my days hot tubbing with supermodels. And that was the plan.
That's a good plan.
But, long story short, a couple of years of 100-hour work weeks destroyed my health. And I spent 3 years going to different doctors and rehab and physical therapy, and I didn't get better. I got worse. It all came to a head in my big dark night of the soul in 1998, where I got in to see the head doctor at the top physical therapy clinic in LA, Carlin Job. And he told me, "I'm sorry, son, there's nothing I can do for you. Is there someone that can take care of you until you die?" And I was in such bad shape. He put me on permanent disability and literally sent me home to die when I was 27.
Wow. And a lot of that is, and here's what people don't realize about our world. a lot of it is mental. So if you have ever read this book called The Kabbalion, and they say this right off the bat, the all is mental. And if you take that into the human diaspora, everything you do comes from who you are. So this gray matter that we have is the brain, and, regulates everything. So if you're stressed out, they can test for everything underneath the sun, and they will not find anything, because the all is mind, and we are billionaires in the constituency of our cells. So what did you move into after that for the people to know?
Well, to make a long story very short, right after that, my lifelong best friend and business partner stole the multi-million-dollar company I had founded.
Ouch.
I was left living with my parents, broke on permanent disability. He also was secretly dating the woman I was in love with, so I was wiped out. I was lucky, though. I spent really the next 5 years doing a combination of positive thinking and alternative medicine trying to recover, because I didn't want to accept my life was over at 27. And so you name it, I tried it. Acupuncture, herbs, what we call positive thinking nowadays, law of attraction, cleanses, diets, machines, magnets, craniosacral work, homeopathy, you name it, I tried it. 5 years of that, I didn't get better. I got worse. I bottomed out in early 2003 when I had an experimental surgery, and I woke up and my arm was paralyzed. So instead of getting better, the surgery left me even more disabled. And it was about 6 months after that, I met this lady named Terry, who to me seemed like she had gone off the deep end of the new age pool. Right? She had been a very successful financial professional. She was a Wharton School MBA. She was making like 180 grand a year doing finance. And she just up and quit her job to be a healer. And I'm like, wow, this chick's nuts, right? But I went to go see Terry. And again, long story short, she spent an hour with me talking about the power of the subconscious, and did this block clearing process with me. And at the end of our session, she said, okay, dear, let's fix your arm now. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, sure, lady, whatever, right? What are you going to do, right? And she just kind of closed her eyes and went into a trance. And about a minute later, my arm went pop, and I could move my arm again. And I was like, holy crap. I think I said something a little more R-rated, but I was like, oh my gosh. And I had experienced a genuine miracle. So, my arm that had been frozen and paralyzed for almost 6 months instantly healed. And that was the turning point of my life. And I said to her, Terry, I don't think you're crazy anymore. I totally understand it. And I did exactly what she did. So I left engineering to become a full-time healer, specifically because I wanted to figure out how this stuff worked.
So how did she went on a journey and you went on a journey, but your journey didn't give you the results that you were looking for. How did you find the connection to make so that you could become who you are now? Because she probably went on a similar journey, because you guys were high power people in this capitalistic society, and it wasn't working for you. You're stressed out. Your health was failing. You attained all the riches, and you probably were making substantial amount of money, but you were like, I'm not fulfilled. My health is failing. How did you, between her and that moment when your arm would pop, how did you put that together to make it your own? Because we are such unique individuals and we have our own powers.
That's a great question. What's funny is at first I thought, oh, this will be easy. As I thought, well, compared to MIT, how hard can it be to learn healing? Oh my God, I couldn't have been more wrong. Because what I learned was, the first healing training I went to, there was about 100 people in the room. And I guarantee you, I was dead last in terms of ability in that course. And it was really hard for me to learn. Why? I was so stuck in my mind. I had so much education, so much science, so much engineering. I could only interface with the world through my mind. And it took me a matter of years to learn how to start to feel. And what I did was simple. I went and spent an enormous amount of money and time going around to the master healers, the gurus, the greatest intuitives, the spiritual teachers. And I went and spent a lot of time with them to reverse engineer what they were doing. I wanted to figure it out step by step and explain how it worked. And so that led me to decode what I call the formula for miracles. which is simple steps and processes everyone can use to really look inside of themselves. As you said, it all comes from who you are. Ultimately, who are we? Ultimately, we are our belief systems. We are the things we've been conditioned and programmed to believe are true. And that's exactly how we will create our lives. And just to throw out an example, I'm sure you and your listeners have heard a lot of times that most people that win millions of dollars in the lottery lose all their money.
Yep.
That's not a coincidence. It's because they do not have the right subconscious programming to hold on to that money. They still think, act, and behave like they're poor. And guess what happens? If someone is really poor in their identity and you give them a huge amount of money, they'll lose it. It's that simple. What I want to do is show people, how do we look inside? How do we find exactly those codes that make us up? In a lot of ways, humans are like a computer. The body is the hardware, and the subconscious mind is the software. The trouble is, a lot of us are literally coded to be sick, to be in pain, to be alone, to be desperate. But we can change those codes.
So when you say we are programmed, we are coded,
Yes.
and you're talking in MIT speak and in metaphysical speak at the same time. But when you say
Yes.
we are coded to be in this particular realm, what do you mean by that?
Inside of us, we all know there is a subconscious mind. But to most people, it's kind of this nebulous, invisible thing, right? There's something that governs our respiration, our heartbeat, that digests our food. There's something that runs the body. That's what we might call the subconscious. Ultimately, it's just like computer code. Most of that code is inherited. In other words, most of who you are is inherited from your ancestors through the DNA. And that's why some people can go out and it seems like everything they touch turns to gold. Like someone like Elon Musk. I mean, the guy's founded, 3 multi-billion-dollar companies? And he's barely 40 years old. How does that happen?
Yep.
Simple. He was coded for success. A lot of it is our childhood conditioning, things we were told by our parents, our teachers, things we told ourselves. All of these things act like code. And so I encourage everyone to recognize that your life works very much like a computer. We all have a program inside of us for how much money we make, for our physical health, for our emotional health, for our relationships, for our contentment with life, for our intuition, for our sense of purpose, you name it. And we think that, for example, that if we can work harder or get more degrees, we'll make more money. Not necessarily. Because if you take a person that has coding for poverty and give them a bunch of degrees, they're going to be a very well-educated poor person. And so what I want to show people is there's actually a way to go change the stuff inside of us. And the code is what I call the software of the soul. Others might call it subconscious belief systems. Others would call it energy patterns or blueprints. They're all the same thing.
So we were talking about DNA, or you were talking about DNA, how it is passed down from generations. And I've been dealing with this in my own realm because as a man of color, my ancestors or some form of my ancestors went through some really tough stuff. And part of that is in my DNA.
Yes.
And through that era, you're programmed. So just think about the people of color in this country who were really, for generations, I'd say at least 3 to 5 generations, were programmed for lack. Like, you will never measure up. How does someone supplant that programming to move forward so that they can be free?
It's actually very simple. And that's what I've dedicated most of my adult life to, is figuring out a system to develop technology to help people to do that. And there's really 2 ways that I do it. One involves muscle testing to read the subconscious and using the theta brain state to reprogram it. So, for example, a lot of people believe they're not allowed to be wealthy, or that they have to work hard, or they have to do something they hate to make money. These are simply codes within us. I have simple technologies that people can learn in a few hours to identify and change those codes. And they will be gone forever. There's also more advanced versions of the work involving movement and entrainment of consciousness to make even bigger shifts. So let me put it this way. Really, I like to emphasize this is all just technology. So if we went back in time 200 years and said, well, how long does it take to cross the Atlantic Ocean? You'd probably say, well, at least 3 weeks, right? You got to get on a ship. Well, nowadays we can do it in 3 hours in an airplane.
That's true.
I think the space station does it in 20 minutes. The point being, something that was very difficult and expensive and time-consuming in the past is now, with modern technology, much easier, much faster, much less expensive, much more accessible. This is what I want to do for the world of healing and metaphysics. I want to improve the technology. Just as one example, when I learned to be a healer, it took me multiple weekend training sessions and 3 months of daily practice before I could do healings. With my technology, I can teach people to be healers in about 2 hours. To be a master healer, it took me 7 years of full-time work and over $250,000 spent. I can get most people to master healer anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months. So with the technology, we can do things that were very difficult before. My job is to make it easy.
So with that, we live in an age where everything is presented to you as very easy and very accessible. But sometimes you really just have to bear down and do the work. So do you think that people have the discipline to be able to acclimate to the level that you're talking about?
I think they do. It's really a matter of priority. How important is it to you? If you want to let go of all this ancestral baggage from being a servant, from being a slave, from being poor and all that nonsense, you can do it. Can you shift a belief system in 3 seconds? Yes. Can you become a billionaire overnight? No. And so it's really a matter of how important is it to you. If it's important to you and you're willing to make it a priority, because there's huge benefits to this, not just for you, but for everybody you're connected to in your life, especially your children. What I offer to everybody is whatever your level of commitment is, I will meet you there and take you as far as you can go. It's that simple.
So with that generational wealth, because historically, particularly in America and Europe for that fact, actually most of the major countries and societies in this world, most of the wealth is held by generational families.
Yes.
So there are these people who come onto this plane that they don't really have to struggle. It's there. And they don't know anything else. And I've recently come across this where there are some people who just don't understand the mindset of a different group of people. How can you take someone from a mindset of lack, a DNA of lack, and move them towards a mindset of personal prosperity, personal growth, and abundance in a short amount of time?
Sure. And that's exactly what I strive to do. And here's how I do it. I work both on the conscious and the subconscious level. They're both important. On the conscious level, I want to show people how life really works. What really determines your success in life? What really determines how healthy you are, how happy you are? Here's a hint. It's not what you think it is. Right? Nothing personal. If life worked the way we all thought, we'd all have amazing lives, wouldn't we? The fact is, life doesn't work the way you were taught. And you need to learn the way it really works. So that's a piece of it with the coaching and learning how life really works. The second piece is eliminating subconscious blocks. And so even if you strive to have a positive mindset and say your mantras every day, and go jump on the stage and high-five your friends and shout out that you're a millionaire every weekend, if you're full of subconscious blockages, that will get you nowhere. And in fact, during my journey, I spent about a year after I had lost my multi-million-dollar company and been put on permanent disability. I spent about a year doing intensive positive thinking. But you know what? It didn't help me. I went to the positive thinking programs, power words on my walls, mantras, vision boards, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't until I worked with Terry years later and learned how to eliminate the subconscious blockages that you put those two together and bam, then you have something very powerful. So we have to do both. We have to clear out the blockages from the subconscious, and we need to learn how to focus our mind on creating what we want in life. They're complementary. You can't just do one unless you're really lucky. I've said that about 1% of people who use the law of attraction feel they get good results.
Right.
That's because about 1% of us are naturally clear of subconscious blocks. For the other 99%, we need to remove those obstacles. And it's like going down a road. If I want to get somewhere, you need to have the directions in a vehicle, right?
Right.
That's like the conscious mind. You need to know where you're going and how to get there. But the subconscious mind is like a road. What if you're driving down the road and a freeway overpass is collapsed? Well, the road is blocked, right? You can drive at it all you want. You ain't getting there. And so that's what happens in the subconscious. Sometimes that path is blocked, and we need the technology to remove the blockage.
So when you deal with those blockages, we are so diverse. We are so varied on this plane, this dimension. There can be anything there. It could be from the simplest thing to make sure that you clean your plate can really affect somebody's subconscious as a form of lack. It could be something like your body is not the temple you think it is. People have these blocks about relationships. People have all these blocks. So how is it that you can really get down to someone? Do you work with them one-on-one? Is there a group? Is there just a...
I do both. And that's a great question you ask. And so what it comes down to is the technology for identifying and clearing blocks is very simple to learn and easy to use. With a few hours of training, I can teach anyone to access a conscious theta wave, to do an instant healing process, and how to clear subconscious blocks. It does take some more training and work and a little bit of talent to learn how to identify those blocks. And that is one of the harder pieces. And so I do have availability for a limited number of one-on-one clients. I also do group sessions, and I have practice groups, as well as a whole cadre of students who are out learning and applying this. So I have a lot of resources out there to help people to do this. Some people want it done for them. Okay, that's what one-on-ones are for. I'll do it for you. Others want to empower themselves and learn how to do it for themselves. I have trainings and extensive documentation and support material available because I really want to empower people to be able to do this, to be able to change your code from the inside out, to be able to learn how to really write your own destiny instead of just creating a similar life to your parents' and grandparents. Because that's what happens to most of us by default. If you don't take action otherwise to make a change, you'll probably end up having a life very similar like to your parents and grandparents.
Awesome. So you've built a really powerful team around yourself. You've got Keith Cunningham, you've got John Burke, you've got Forbes Riley. How are these people coming to the diaspora, and what do they bring to the table for your clientele?
Well, I think it's fascinating that there's that old saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I think it's important that we have a lot of different people like me and the people you've mentioned, because we all have different styles. It's like music. Some people love some kinds of music, but not others. But most people like some kind of music. And so my approach is very rational, very to the point, very scientific engineering. I'm like, get rid of the nonsense. This is how it works. This is what you need to know. This is what you do. So people that really like that to the point, linear, very thoroughly explain things, I'm a wonderful teacher. However, I know some people are looking for magic fairy dust, and that's okay. I'm not opposed to it. Just don't expect that from me, right? I'm still an MIT engineer, even though I've been a healer for almost 20 years. There's a lot of wonderful other people who are very new agey, that are much more of the, let's hug and kumbaya. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different style. So I think that, God has put a lot of different kinds of people on this earth so that everyone can find the teacher that matches their personal style. And I'm certainly not for everyone, but for those looking for a really to the point, no nonsense, just the facts, ma'am approach to healing and metaphysics, you're in the right place.
So with that team that you've built, because literally you've pointed it out, you have a very succinct style, And someone may not really resonate with that. Even though you have the great information, they just may not interpersonally resonate with you. So you've built this team around you. So someone may be feeling, I need more of the feminine energy, or someone may say, I may need someone who's just a little more soft, or I need someone who's just like going to push me hard. How did you build that out so that you could have everybody encompassed in the world to gain what they need from you?
Sure. Honestly, it was a lot of trial and error. I just worked with a lot of people doing a lot of different things over a lot of years. And I just kind of, built up a database, so to speak, of different teachers and processes and systems and what I think are their strong points and weak points. And honestly, I do not see it as a competition at all.
There is no competition. There is no competition.
So I don't hesitate to refer people out to other teachers or programs when I feel it's a better fit. I'm like, you know what? Hey, you need this person. You need to read this. You need to go there. Because that's not a concern to me. All I care about is people get what they need. Whether it comes through me or someone else, ultimately it doesn't matter, because I try to really embody the highest truth of consciousness, which is we are all the same. It's the same awareness inside every person on this planet. Everybody.
We're living in this system of capitalism, and capitalism is its own force, and it says you need money, 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 money. But really, happiness is not really about money, because if anybody thinks about it, you can go back to a time where you really didn't have a lot of money and you were extremely happy, in retrospect.
Absolutely. What, being at MIT was one of the happiest times of my life, and I was so broke, it's ridiculous.
Ramen noodles guy, huh?
Yes, I ate so many ramen noodles, I have not been able to touch them since I graduated. Oh my God, I ate so many ramen noodles, so much mac and cheese. They used to sell them for 10 cents when they go on sale at the supermarket. My buddy and I would go at 11:30 at night, buy the maximum, wait in our car till midnight, and go back and buy the next day. That's how broke I was to get my 10-cent noodles and mac and cheese. But it was one of the happiest times of my life.
And that's a true thing. And that's one of the things I wanted to point out. Happiness is different for different people. For those who have a higher level of consciousness, they're not really working about the capitalistic, view of their life. They're looking like, hey, this is what I enjoy. I just need the basic, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I just need this. I need some shelter. I need some safety. I need my health. I need my homeostasis, and I'm good. Everything outside of that is a bonus. There are other people who, and I've had this myself, people will send me emails and say, hey, I want to live that billionaire lifestyle. I see you're just enjoying life. And I always come back to this. If you can't manage what you have, how can you manage more?
That's a good point. It's kind of like when you're a kid, my parents, I wanted to have a cat, and they said, well, no, we're going to get you a goldfish first. And if you can take care of that goldfish and prove to us you're up to it, then we'll talk about getting a cat.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize it works the same with money and success and fame. If you can't effectively manage and take care of what you have, don't expect the universe to be giving you more. You got to prove you're up to it first.
So with your program, what do you have in the future here in the next couple of months? So we'll go to 2019, early 2019. What's in store? What do you have for the public so that they can raise their level of consciousness, find their ease, and find their place on this planet?
Sure. First thing that's available is anyone that's interested, I would encourage you to go to my website at awakeningdynamics.com. That's awakeningdynamics.com. And you'll get several free gifts. You're going to get a blueprint for higher dimensional living. You're going to get a free copy of my book, The Formula for Miracles, as well as invitations to one of my live webinars that I do every couple of months. That's a great way to get started for free to see if you like it. Do you like my style? And I'm going to talk a lot about the 7 secrets to higher dimensional living, beam you with energy, show you how to check and clear subconscious blocks, elevate your consciousness, and eliminate suffering. I have live trainings available. I do 3 or 4 times a year where I will actually show you step-by-step how to do all these things, how to create miraculous instant healings, how to clear a subconscious block, how to clear your space, how to manifest from a theta wave. And, for those that are more of the just do it for me, I don't want to learn it, I have a limited availability for private sessions. Anyone that's interested in that, just go to my website at awakeningdynamics.com. And you see a little link called private sessions, and there's a short application.
And how can people contact you outside? Because we're in a social media world. Everybody's looking. Do you have a Facebook? Do you have Instagram? Do you have a Twitter? What's that information so that people have different channels that they like to,
Sure.
peruse through?
You can find me on Facebook. Just go in and search for Bret Michael Phillips. I should come right up. I don't do a lot with Twitter and Instagram because I'm more of an audio person. I'm very much a musical fanatic, and I love to listen and to learn and to read. So I'm not very active there, but the best way is through my website.
Awesome.
And I do a lot of interactive things. I do block clearing calls a couple times a month. I do private session demonstrations. There's a whole lot of stuff I'm doing all the time because I really want people to know about this. And, I encourage everyone that don't believe anything someone says if they say it.
So where else can people get your writings? I know Amazon is a good place to find the formula for miracles. And here's what I want to ask you. So the understanding part 1, the formula for miracles, how many different segments are there?
Really, the part 1 is mostly about how the subconscious mind works, of how we can access the theta state, the nature of the subconscious, how this programming gets inside of us, and what we can do to clear it out. So part 1 is a lot about very practical tools to give people an immediate start, to give you the technology. How do I look in and see what my code is? How do I find the traumas and blocks and things inside of me? And how do I clear them out? To give everyone the technology to reprogram yourself for success, for health. And I call it the formula for miracles because as of the time we speak today, I have over 1,600 miraculous instant healings that have come directly from this work. And that's just my clients. That's just my clients and students. If we add in the healings done for my students, it's probably more like 4,000 or 5,000. And so, there's lots of people that have seen 1 or 2 or 3 miracles from their work, and that's great. But you don't get thousands unless you've really figured something out. And again, I encourage everyone, come see for yourself.
And I want to...
That's okay. Come see for yourself.
I want to ask you, you will change the world. What's your involvement with that?
I did a online class with them. Peter Anthony's a friend of mine. And, I want to support any people and platform really looking to put positive teachings and messages out into the world. And from what I know about Peter Anthony, that is really what he's about. And so I did a class available on his platform called 21 Simple Steps to Self-Empowerment because I wanted to make this technology available inexpensively to people anywhere in the world.
So do you have any communities that you have for your clientele or people who are just, I know you say the one-on-one is few, a little bit few and far between because I understand, we only have a finite amount of time in a day and you can only reach so many people. So do you have any webinars that are coming up?
I actually have 3 different communities. One is the public free community. That's mostly through my email list and my Facebook page. So I do live webinars, group calls, block clearings, things like that, send out a lot of natural health news and information. I also have what's called the VIP Club. That's a paid subscription service where people get access to me for group calls and sessions on about a weekly basis. We do an event just about every week. We do practice groups, lots of material available. And I have my highest level program is called the Awakening Intensive. That's usually about me and a dozen people that meet very regularly, where I'm really involved with people to really help them to understand and embody the highest consciousness. And so, but that's not something you can come just join. You have to apply and be prepared for that.
So if someone wants you to come out, you're in, where are you located? I'm sorry.
I'm in Los Angeles.
So if you're in, the 405.
Oh. It's about 100 feet that way.
Yeah. That's when I think of LA, I think of the 405.
Yeah,
but if somebody, Yeah, if somebody wants to bring you out, how is the best way to contact you for that medium?
You know what? I do all my privates remotely, either through Skype or Zoom or the phone. So there's no need to travel. All of my classes are broadcast online, as are all my group calls. So, if someone wants to come out and join, come live or come to my office, you're welcome to. But everything I do is available online.
Awesome information.
Yep. I want this to be available to people everywhere in the world.
That's so awesome that you want it to be available, because sometimes people get so trapped up in the gathering that they forget the principle for why they started. And I want to thank you so much for being on the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast.
Oh, it's been exciting. It's been great to be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know how we do it. Remember, you are a spiritual being having a physical experience. As above, so below. As above, so below. Remember that. We have forgotten more than we already know. So the first thing I need you to do is I need you to get in tune with yourself. And this is before you even get with Brett. I need you to come out of the shower, and I need you to wipe the fog off the mirror, and I need you to bask in the glory that was created as you. Because I'm going to give it to you like this. People always say, man, I'm not a billionaire. What is this billionaire lifestyle about? So 30 days after your consummation, after two cells met together and began to have this relationship with each other, you were over 1 billion cells, 2 to the power of 30. Do the math and you will see what I'm talking about. Not even that. So that's just at the inception. So now you are fully made human being. And when I say human, I mean HUE-man being. This is what we are about, the being part, which is the experience. So as Brent was saying, sometimes you have to release that programming so that you can be your whole being. And once you look at yourself, once you see how much of a miracle that you are, you will understand your power. And then go in love, go in peace. And when you see someone with the same galaxies between that thing that brings life into their body, which is your nose, that brings air in, treat them with the respect and love that you would want to be treated with. Until next time, love you all. Peace.